Back again with another one, Bad News Brown. Let's get into a little controversy. So, Luke versus Tariq Nasheed. For those who don't know, Luke, aka Luke Skywalker, a two-lie crew, has some pretty choice words for Tariq Nasheed. Now, if you don't know who Tariq Nasheed is, he's been online for a while now, pushing for black folk, and he actually, the documentary Hidden Colors, he responsible for that. I recommend everybody to check that out. But anyway, Luke basically has some words for Tariq Nasheed for pushing the whole FBA movement, as well as his criticism of not only Kamala Harris but the Democratic Party. So let me break it down a little bit. Well, first off, FBA. FBA stands for Foundational Black Americans. Pretty much anybody not only just born in America, but you can be traced back to the plantations. And this is important when it comes to reparations, and I get to that. So that's pretty much FBA. And although you may be born here, but let's just say if your mom or your grandma is from anywhere other than the US, you wouldn't be considered FBA because you second, third generation. And a good rule of thumb, in my opinion, is your last name. That's it, and that's not the only rule of thumb, but that's the good general basic rule of thumb is your last name, and that can trace you back. Now, the criticism of Tariq Nasheed is they saying that the whole FBA talk is divisive, and at first glance, with an untrained eye, it appears that way, but it's not. And I'll break it down. First thing, we all in this together, whether you like it or not. So it is important that we build solidarity with other folk around the world that's going through the same thing. But everybody don't feel the same way. You see, you got coons and sellouts on both sides. And when I mean sellout, I ain't really just talking about money. I'm talking about the mentality, more importantly. So you would have other folk from other places get here and turn their nose up at us. And not only that, they being told not to even deal with us, not to even establish no type of relationships, only in terms of selling you something. See, and that's quiet as it's kept. So you got that going on, and that's been going on. Then you got the whole reparations issue, which is going on right now, which I think this is where most of the criticism and the blowback is coming from, because a lot of groups is feeling excluded, which they shouldn't. See, the thing is, man, the U.S. done already paid reparations to other groups. So if they was to do that, I would tend to think that other countries will follow suit. So actually, how you gonna feel left out when if you consider yourself one of us, and if we empower, you naturally empower. Although giving reparations to blacks really gonna power the whole economy, due to the fact that the majority of us is still a consumer people. So with whatever amount of money we gonna get, it's gonna get put back, unfortunately. And I ain't even about to talk about the whole issue of should we get it or shouldn't we, or because you can't put a dollar amount on the suffering and all that. I get that, but this video ain't about that, whether you agree or disagree. I'm just saying this is what the whole issue is about. So you got people like Luke accusing Tariq of being divisive. A lot of that, in my opinion, I don't even think, as far as Luke behalf, it ain't really coming from that. Although Luke is not FBA, so I notice a lot of the criticism is coming from brothers and sisters who not directly FBA. Which, again, like I said, on first glance, it appeared like people like Tariq is being divisive, but it ain't. It's only in terms of you getting just proper due when it comes to reparations. Now, again, like I said, you got people like Luke feeling left out when it's all just due to some money, a bag, basically. So you got people like him who already been, Democratic, which is all good because most of us been Democratic. And since Democrats is pretty desperate right now, they calling all they friends, people who they had in their pocket, so to speak. Like, hey man, they calling all cars. Like, if y'all with us, y'all gotta step up and say something. So this is why I think people like Luke and other people, famous people, is saying stuff right now. And it's funny because I can imagine P. Diddy, if he wasn't in the heat he in, he'd be up there pushing the line too. Rock the vote or whatever. And again, like I'm gonna say, as far as when it comes to that whole voting, see, me personally, I vote for me. Now, put it like this: I'm gonna be liberal, democratic on certain issues, and I'm gonna be conservative on other issues. So I don't choose really one or the other. To me, it's two sides of the same coin, and that's a different rabbit hole. But if we're gonna play that game, and this is what a lot of people are mentioning now, because traditionally the Democratic Party, they ain't been doing nothing. They knew they had our vote in their pocket. So, but now it's time to put up a shut up. Voting is a lot of times it's quid pro quo. You want my vote, what you gonna do for me and my vote? So, and that's been the game the whole time. We just now catching on. So now that we done caught on, we ain't with the identity politics. We not with the you gonna give us a holiday, you know, spiel they've been giving us all these years. It's really gonna come down to what are you doing for us? Because after the whole Obama situation, when you happy somebody look like you, he ain't like you. Most people argue, but regardless, that ain't the point. Even if it was a FBA up in there, we realize that it don't matter how the face look. If the policy ain't correct, we in the same or even in a deeper hole than we in to begin with. And a lot of people is realizing that. And although the Democratic vote, they got the majority, a lot of women in their pocket, but even women is waking up like, man, you got to do some more than some abortion rights. And it is funny because from what I'm hearing, a lot of white women ain't even voting Democratic. Not does that matter, but I'm just thinking when it comes to the whole female struggle, because it ain't no female struggle. We all in this together, man, woman, and child. So it's a family struggle, so to speak. Everybody included. So that's how you gotta look at it. Don't get me wrong, you're gonna have different people. Different people gonna have a different way of life, the way they look at things, and then people gonna tend to rock together, and that's all good. And they can even have their own special interest group, but it's need to be certain key points, certain key principles that we don't stray from. But anyway, that's just my opinion. But again, y'all, that's what I get out of the whole Tariq Nasheed / Luke thing. But again, Tariq Nasheed responded, and he pretty much was getting that look like, hey man, you kind of end over your head. Don't get on here talking this pro black or pro people stuff, and you ain't even known for that, bro. As far as we know about you, you ain't no different than any other cricket record label producer. Like, everybody that work with you then pretty much died broke, and they got something bad to say about you. So you need to fall all the way back. But again, like I mentioned, the Democratic Party is desperate, so they calling all cars. So that's what I look about that. So yeah, Luke, I would kind of leave that alone. Luke, if you gonna vote Democrat, vote Democrat, but don't try to push that to nobody else right now, especially the common folk, because we ain't really feeling it right now, because we need to deal with somebody that's going to promote wealth building, that's going to promote ownership, you know what I'm saying, that's going to promote real, what they call freedom or liberties, whatever y'all want to call it. That's what I'm about right now, you understand? That's, and real independence, whatever y'all want to call it. But it ain't about me, y'all, so forget what I think and what I want. But again, that, I just want everybody to take from this. Don't, when you hear the whole FBA talk, don't think of it as divisive, because it ain't. Now remember, for the untrained eye, it may appear that way, but don't let nobody tell you otherwise, because it ain't. It's just pretty much saying how the black American, he been getting passed over for so long. It's time to really start outlining things specifically for us. You understand? And it ain't even, and the crazy thing about it, because when people hear that, especially because we in America, the capitalist society, everybody competing, they feel like if that happened, get that to us, that's gonna put us one up. Actually, it ain't. We already in the hole. So I don't care. You can give every black person $1,000,000, and it still ain't up. Because for one, it ain't gonna really got nothing to do to quell police brutality. You understand? Homelessness, wars, all that old good stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, but it ain't about that though. They need to kick that reparations in. Period. That's just a good best foot forward. Good step in the right direction to show that, hey man, this country has changed and it ain't like it was. You understand? And it ain't like they ain't did it before to other groups. So yeah, they definitely got the money. We know that. They spending billions and trillions on wars, made up wars, To me, that's just high level money laundering, if you ask me. But again, what do I know? I ain't in Washington. You know what I'm saying? But for real though, that's this is how you need to look at this whole situation when it comes to the FBA and the whole reparations, the whole politics, and not even on no personal Tariq versus Luke thing. Although it was them, of course, that's bringing up this argument. And again, Tariq being pushing the FBA, he one of the main spokespeople, and it ain't like no movement or nothing. It's just really, like I said, just outlining who is who in terms of the stolen African, and in particular, the people that was on them plantations need to get that issue, and we do. And there's nothing wrong with that. So if you're another group, you need to actually vote for that. Hell, most of us is a consumer people anyway. Like that Dave Chappelle episode, all that money gonna get spent right back. But that ain't the point. And I mentioned this before, I believe so. But that ain't the point. Get that up, get that fake fiat money up, and of course you can't put a price tag on what we went through, but like I said, that'll be a good gesture, a good best foot forward. You understand? To prove, to make America great for the first time. But yeah, though, that's how I feel about that, y'all. So man, go ahead and hit that good subscribe button, man. Bad News Brown breaking this shit down. I'm gonna be at y'all real quick with some more material.